It's time. We get funky like a monkey, baby. That one's for you, American Dream. Welcome to episode 3 of the Nothing to Prove podcast. Once again, I'm your host, John Vitalli, and we're coming to you live from the Den of Iniquity here in glorious, sunny, hot as a mother, Phoenix, Arizona. And live to you for episode number 3 of the podcast. I want to thank you guys for joining us today. Thank you guys for listening for the past 2 weeks. It's appreciated as always. So we got a lot to talk about this week. We're going to definitely hit on some of the stuff from last night's WWE Money in the Bank pay-per-view. And again, if you listen to the first episode, just to reiterate, I'm not going to talk about who should have won, who could have won, how the show should have been booked. I don't give a shit. I don't care. That's not why we're here. Like I said, I'm just going to hit on some things that I found very, very interesting from that night. Some things that kind of get under my skin a little bit, and probably under some of your skin as well, I would imagine, if you are a real wrestling fan. Also going to touch on some of the NBA final stuff, the NHL Stanley Cup Final as well, and some other events that are going on currently in the world today. But again, I want to thank you guys for reaching out to me over the past couple weeks. Again, the feedback has been overwhelming, to say the least. We've had quite a bit of suggestions for some topics for future episodes, and that's what I ask you guys for each and every single week. I said, feel free to send me in any topics you guys want to hear me talk about in episodes to come, and I got quite a bit of response to that. So although you may have sent me something in to talk about, and maybe I'm not necessarily going to hit on it this week, just keep in mind that I do have a list of all those topics, and as long as they're not, they don't pertain to a specific time frame, like if I have to hit it that particular week, I might push it off for a little bit and save it for a future episode, because some of those things, the topics anyways, that I've been getting are great topics to cover with a co-host that would be sitting in with me. So I definitely want to save some of those for when I have a guest on the show with me. I got a pretty good idea of who I want to sit in the show with me for a couple of the topics that were sent my way. So don't think those topics have gone unnoticed. I do have them saved and ready to hit on those in the future. But like I said, I'm always open to suggestions if you guys want to hear me talk about anything in particular. Again, this show is for you guys, and without you guys, this show is not here, and we're not doing this from a week-to-week basis. But we made it to week 3, which is a huge accomplishment in my book, so let's go ahead and pat ourselves on the back for that one. Only good things to come, hopefully. So let's get right into it. Like I said, we got a lot to cover today. Real quick, in the beginning of the show, I said this one's for you, Dusty. That was in reference to the American Dream, Dusty Rhodes, if you guys didn't know. The American Dream passed away this past week unexpectedly at the age of 69. Dusty Rhodes was one of the largest characters in professional wrestling history, and I'm not saying that just from a physical standpoint. I'm saying that from a character standpoint, all around standpoint for that matter. Such amazing, unbelievable charisma the guy had, and what he had with charisma, he was able to make himself a worldwide superstar just by being able to connect with a fan or the fans out there. Not your prototypical professional wrestler, not a bodybuilder by any stretch of the imagination. He was quite a larger gentleman, to say the least. But man, once he came through that curtain, he was able to grab the audience and take them on a ride that they would never forget. And one of the greatest good guys that wrestling has ever seen. And just to share a memory with you guys, I never had a chance to meet Dusty Rhodes. I kick myself every time I think about it too. I was down at FCW a few years back, and I was for something going on down there, and he was down there as well at the same time, and he was in the production office at the time, and I didn't get a chance to say hello or introduce myself. I kicked myself for that one. Because everyone and anyone that's ever met the guy says he's one of the true sweethearts that wrestling has ever seen. But in any case, this is the memory I actually wanted to share with you guys. So it was it was right after WrestleMania 4, I believe. No, I'm sorry. It would be WrestleMania 6. There was the WrestleMania that the Ultimate Warrior beat Hulk Hogan for the WWF at the time heavyweight title. And I think that's 6. I could be wrong. They all just kind of meshed together after a while, but it's probably 6. So it was the first set of TV tapings after that pay-per-view. And it was the first real big wrestling show that I ever had gone to. My mom took me to the Glens Falls Civic Center in Glens Falls, New York for a set of TV tapings. And I'll never forget that day, just being awestruck as far as being able to see these larger-than-life characters that I had seen on TV, years prior. And we finally got a chance to actually see them in person. And my mom, did everything she could to make sure she took me to this wrestling show. And it's one of my fondest memories of not only wrestling, but of me and my mom together as well. So I remember going to take a bathroom break, and I don't recall what was going on at the time. But the segment right after was, and my memory, I don't know if it's completely accurate, but I believe it was a Brother Love Show segment. And it was where the Macho Man Randy Savage and sensational Queen Sherry decided to berate and cut down Sweet Sapphire, who was Dusty Rhodes' manager, valet, whatever you want to call her. And I could hear this over the PA system while I was in the bathroom, and I had to get back out there to see what the Dream was going to do to defend Sapphire's honor. I'll never forget that. Dusty Rhodes definitely had me captivated, and I always wondered as a kid why he wore those polka dots. But man, he made him work. If anybody could pull off polka dots, it was definitely the American Dream, Dusty Rhodes. So I just wanted to share that quick little memory. And last night on the WWE Money in the Bank pay-per-view, they showed a promo package of the life and the career of Dusty Rhodes, and that was WWE production is just top notch, and they don't probably get all the credit they deserve, but they put together such a great package for the man, and it really gave you a chance to see kind of how he touched so many people's lives. So they did a great job with that, and it was really touching to watch. And although Dusty Rhodes is no longer with us, his legacy, his memory, and his contributions to the wrestling business will be forever felt through the rest of the time. So rest in power, Dream. You meant so much to so many. So it was sad to see him pass away last week. But moving on to the pay-per-view itself, Money in the Bank. And I'm not going to talk too much about this because I know, ironically enough, the demographic for this show that I was going for was wrestling fans. But ironically enough, a lot of the people that listen to the show are not necessarily even a casual wrestling fan, which is fine. I mean, I don't care who's listening to the show as long as you guys are entertained and enjoying everything that I'm putting out here. But keep in mind, there are a lot of wrestling fans that are listening to the show and do tune in for the wrestling aspect of it. So I'm definitely going to talk a little bit about that each and every single week. Some weeks might be a little bit longer than others. Some, it might be a shorter time, but it's only fair to them and myself. I mean, that's where I came from, is professional wrestling. So without that, I really don't have anything. So let's just real quickly talk about the Money in the Bank pay-per-view from last night. Now, sometimes I talk about topics on the show, and I'm like, man, maybe I shouldn't have said that, or that might have been not the right time or place, or just not being completely sure of myself and what I laid down. But it's a really great feeling when my opinions or my take on things are justified in real life time. And that's exactly what happened last night at the WWE Money in the Bank pay-per-view in the match between John Cena and Kevin Owens. Yes, the rematch that we actually talked about on the very first episode of the podcast. But last night, the Cena haters were out in full force again, and the Kevin Owens lovers were in full force, and that was awesome. You had the split between the crowd. And sure enough, during the match, there was not one, but two "This is awesome" chants. This is awesome chants that had everything to do with John Cena just as much as they had to do with Kevin Owens. So again, this just reiterates my point that if you honestly and truly believe that John Cena sucks as a wrestler, you are clueless. You have no concept of what a real professional wrestler is or is all about. John Cena made that match last night, again, just as much as Kevin Owens did. That was a pretty good match. Aside from kicking out of 1 zillion finishing moves, which I cannot fucking stand. I hate that. And doing essentially every single indie guy's finisher in the world last night and kicking out of all of them and making them essentially look like shit. It was a pretty good match. You know, it had the crowd into it. Really, really invested into the match. The suspense was there, but again, that goes along with kicking out every single finisher in the world. But it did what it was supposed to do. It set the table. It made Kevin Owens even stronger than he was after the first match, and having Kevin Owens win that match would have done not nearly as much for him as it did for having him lose to John Cena last night. John Cena is a smart man. You guys, I don't want to say you guys because that's not necessarily true. A lot of you guys do understand, but a lot of you guys don't understand. John Cena gets it, and I'm sure Kevin Owens gets it as well. It takes two guys working together in a match like that to be able to get the crowd as fully invested as those two guys did last night. And that's exactly what happened. And for you, some of you guys out there to say, oh, well, you know, this is awesome chance. You know, that was because Kevin Owens. That's bullshit. That's complete and utter bullshit. Because if you look back to the match, there was a point where John Cena hits a fucking Canadian destroyer of all things on Kevin Owens. He kicks out, and once he hits that move, the crowd fucking shoots out of their seats like you wouldn't believe. Owens kicks out, and then "This is awesome" chants kick in. I don't know if that was the first or second time the chant was actually started, but in any case, it was there, and it proves my point. You cannot call John Cena a shitty wrestler and fucking chant "This is awesome" in his matches. You just can't do that. Pick a fucking side and stick to it. You can't have both. You can't have the best of both worlds. If John Cena sucked as a wrestler, that match is a piece of shit. They lay a fucking egg last night, and that's not what happened. And there was a lot of instances in that match where the pure strength and athleticism of John Cena, and to Kevin Owens' credit as well, him too, but we're talking about Cena here. His athleticism and strength and ability to know what to do in certain parts of that match really saved the match and kind of made it flow in a really good manner in the way it had to get it as over as it did. So, one more time for you guys out there. You cannot say John Cena sucks as a wrestler. No. You know what? Let me take that back. You can say whatever you want. You can say whatever you want, and you can believe it whatever you want. That's your right. As a paying wrestling fan, you can say or believe whatever you want. But let's be realistic here. Take a look at the piece of work itself. Just the match from last night. Just Cena Owens 2. Just look at that and honestly say to yourself, wow, John Cena sucks. You honestly cannot say that to yourself. And if you do, you are so fucking delusional that I don't even know how you function in everyday society. I really don't. And I'm not trying to badmouth you or take a shot at you. That's the facts. That's the facts. And ask anyone around in the professional wrestling business that has a fucking half a brain or knows what they're talking about, and they'll tell you the exact same thing. Because usually the ones that are in the wrestling business that have this fucking gripe with John Cena are completely jealous of the guy for his spot. I mean, he is the top guy. Everyone wants to be in that spot, but not everyone can be in that spot. Or they see him from a physical standpoint looking like the way he does and don't consider him an actual wrestler, which is absolute bullshit. Look at his pedigree. See where he came from. See how he paid his dues to get where he is today. He didn't just get there just from on looks alone. John Cena has it all, man. And again, John Cena doesn't have to wrestle the way he wrestled last night. He doesn't have to wrestle that way every single time because he's that good. He's that well-rounded that he can, I don't want to say do the bare minimum because I really doubt that John Cena goes out there and puts in the minimum ever. He's the hardest working guy in professional wrestling right now. Show me one guy that works harder than him, both in and out of the ring. Show me. Both. All around. All areas. Nobody works harder than John Cena. And again, it always maybe sounds like I'm kissing John Cena's ass, or I got my head stuck so far as up his ass. But and if you believe that, I don't fucking care. I could give a shit less. I couldn't care less. I'm just telling you like it is. John Cena is a wrestler's wrestler. And once again, stuck it up your fucking ass last night if you're a Cena hater and showed you just why he is one of the very best. So, John, keep fucking doing what you're doing, man. I love it. I love when you prove me right. And Cena Owens number 3, which is bound to happen, is probably going to be another great match. Probably going to kick out of a million finishers once again. But that's the tide that wrestling is turning towards these days. And you know, it is what it is. Some like it, some don't. I'm more on the side of not liking that type of thing, which I'll get into here in a minute. But keep doing your things. Keep stealing the show, and show everyone what a real wrestler is supposed to be like. Which brings me to my next point from the last night's pay-per-view. And if you watched the main event, you saw Seth Rollins defend the WWE World Heavyweight Championship against Dean Ambrose in a ladder match. And these two guys essentially murdered each other in this match. I mean, the punishment that these two guys put themselves through during this match was unmatched. I mean, I'm sure it was matched, but I mean, these guys just kicked the living shit out of each other for about 35 minutes. And they are a better man than I. I mean, because some of the stuff that they were doing was pretty intense, and the way they used the ladder and the bumps they were taking and all that kind of stuff. You know, it made me think of this point. So if you go to any kind of wrestling show or wrestling convention now where they have some of the old timers there, the vast majority of them have a hard time walking. So a lot of them are in wheelchairs. A lot of them use walkers, canes, crutches on a daily basis. A lot of them are in excruciating amounts of pain on a daily basis just from the grind that they went through in their era, in their day. And those guys weren't doing nearly as dangerous or acrobatic or hardcore, if you will, stuff that the guys these days are doing. And I'm not even talking about necessarily just the guys in WWE in this main event last night. I'm talking especially about guys on the independents that are fucking killing themselves. Now, albeit they might be killing themselves for a payday, they're not killing themselves for a WWE payday. That's for damn sure. That's a different story. That's when you have to really reassess what you're doing. But man, so you got these guys these days that are just killing themselves and killing their bodies. And it makes you wonder if my heroes from back in the day are now barely able to walk on their own. What the fuck is in the future in store for these guys nowadays? And hey, I'm guilty. I'm guilty as charged. I've taken some fucking dumb bumps in my time. Not a lot, because I'm smarter than that. I've taken a few where I really felt it knocked a few days off my walking card, if you will. I mean, I can think of 2 bumps in particular in my entire time wrestling since about 2001 where I honestly thought after it happened, fuck, this one is probably going to leave a lasting impression on my body for the long haul. So those bumps are very minimal for me. I mean, listen, I have every intention of when I get a little bit older and out of wrestling to be able to walk, run, skip, jump, and function fully athletically as I did before I got into the wrestling business in the first place. I don't want to be one of those guys that can't do something physically because I tore my body apart, especially if I never make it to the highest level there is, which is the WWE, from an independent level. That would be just asinine to kill myself, kill my body for essentially nothing if we really think about it. I mean, we're getting paid to do what we do, but unless you're in WWE, is it really justified? Is the pay really justified? You got to think about that, especially for a matchup like that or a beating that you give your body like that. So, and I'm like, well, I mean, were the guys back in the day like really like killing themselves like that? I just don't realize. And I was at the Cauliflower Alley reunion a couple months ago. And Harley Race is in a fucking motorized scooter now. I remember Harley Race being a tough bastard. But I don't recall him doing anything super outrageous to the extent of what we're seeing now from indie guys. Or even last night, I feel like the main event last night, Harley Race wouldn't have fucking sniffed or touched any of that shit they did. The vast majority of the stuff they did. Let's put it that way. Let's be fair. But the guy's in a wheelchair, a motorized scooter. One of the greatest, if not the greatest and toughest wrestler of all time is confined to a motorized wheelchair. And he's not doing the stuff that these guys do now. So what does that mean for the rest of us? And again, I don't want to put myself in that category, because those bumps for me are fucking few and far between. Very minimal. Very minimal. But some of these guys out there, man, some of these indie guys, and these fucking deathmatch guys especially. Hey, again, if you want to do a deathmatch, that's your thing, man. That's on you. Be safe about it. Think about these type of things. Yeah, you get the big crowd reaction, and you feel like fucking Terry Funk and Cactus Jack for a day. But you are destroying yourself. Destroying yourself for what? We're not invincible. Although we like to portray and even feel at times like we're Superman or Superwoman out there, we're far from invincible. Injuries are part of the game. And what they teach you in wrestling school from the very beginning is minimize the risk. Minimize the risk of you getting hurt. Protect yourself. And there's ways you can protect yourself in any and all matches, but you're really fucking rolling the dice in these matches. And this isn't me shitting on deathmatch wrestling. I'm not even getting into that. Like that's got nothing to do with this. I'm just talking about the trend that wrestling is moving towards. And again, going back to the Cena and Owens match, a finish isn't a finish anymore. So what good is having a finishing move anyways in the first place? If people are going to be kicking out of your fucking finish, is it really a finish? Can you call it that? No, you can't call it that. It's just another move. Just another wrestling move. A finish is called just that. A finish because once you hit it, it's fucking over. Lights out. Lights the fuck out. Makes me think, how good is your finish if everyone's fucking kicking out of it 3-4 times a match? Must not be that good. And it's just everyone wants to be have the suspense and the fucking 800 kickouts and stuff like that. Use good psychology in a wrestling match and you can avoid fucking using 800 finishers and kicking out of them all. But the art of psychology is fucking lost in wrestling, especially on the indies. Everyone wants the fucking "this is awesome" chant. That's everyone. That's all that the vast majority of the guys on the indies are going out there and looking for is the "this is awesome" chant. Yeah, you get the "this is awesome" chant, but what more? You're not going to get a "this is awesome" chant every single minute of a 20-minute match. It's just not going to happen. There's nowhere to go but down from there. unless it's your crescendo. But no one wants to think about pulling in the audience with you and taking them on an emotional roller coaster ride. Not everybody, but most. But that goes back to just shitty training altogether. That goes back to people being in wrestling that shouldn't be in wrestling, that don't get it. And I feel somewhat bad at times saying that. And it sounds like I talk down to people. But again, I'm from a line of thinking from an older generation. You know, there's this cutoff somewhere along the line. Generations kind of split off, and there's a new philosophy kind of took over. And I get that you have to change with the times, but to me, it doesn't fucking make sense. It just doesn't make any sense to me. So, if you're a young wrestler out there or a current wrestler, all I say is just be cautious, be wary, and be aware of what you're doing, and be aware of what you're doing to yourself now and how it's going to impact your life and your body later on. We give wrestling fans, we give you guys, all of us, every time we go out there, I mean, someone that really has their heart into wrestling gives you everything they have. But you got to remember, wrestlers out there, that you can only give so much. Yes, a fan expects you to entertain them for, 5, 10, 15, 20 minutes or whatever it may be. But a really good wrestling fan doesn't expect you to literally kill yourself. And not literally kill yourself. Let me take that back, because the word literally is abused beyond belief in society today. But they don't expect you to just ruin your body and your livelihood and your future. That's not what a real fan. A real fan is there to be entertained, and you can do so by not putting your health and well-being at risk down the line. So, I mean, wrestling is going in that direction. It's like, what can you top? What can you do to top that? And after last night, man, Dean Ambrose is the toughest motherfucker in the world. If he took all that shit and kept getting out, Dean Ambrose should never fucking lose to a finish ever again in his life. It wouldn't make any sense if you really think about it from last night. I'm not going to get, that's. I don't want to go there. I don't want to go there. But man, let's just stop there. Let's just stop there. If you guys really want me to go off on that tangent, hit me up, let me know, and we can do that another day. But bottom line, let's be careful. We all want to be able to enjoy our lives as we get older. So be careful and be cautious of yourself out there. All right, so I could be a couple days, I guess, late on this one, maybe a couple weeks, but there is something that I definitely wanted to talk about in regards to this whole Caitlyn Jenner situation. That's been all over the news the past couple weeks. More so a couple weeks ago. It's kind of died down a little bit now. But for those of you that are living under a rock, Bruce Jenner, the former Olympic gold medalist, decathlon gold medalist, is now Caitlyn Jenner. He is a transgender woman who now identifies as a female, and from now on will be referred to as Caitlyn Jenner. And shortly after Caitlyn Jenner's Vanity Fair article came out, the unveiling of Caitlyn, she was told, or it was informed, that she would be receiving the Arthur Ashe Courage Award at the ESPN ESPY Awards this year. And immediately a shitstorm was brewing, and people were coming out of the woodwork to explain why Caitlyn Jenner should not be considered courageous or a hero, or is not deserving of this award. Why the fuck not? Why? There's no reason big enough to justify why she shouldn't be. Now, hear me out. Are there others that are just as worthy of receiving the Arthur Ashe Courage Award as she is? Absolutely, 100%. But consider it like this. Let's say you have Caitlyn Jenner and then athlete A, B, and C as your final 4 contenders for this award. It's just like the fucking MVP in a sport. You might think that your favorite athlete deserves to be the MVP, but sorry, your athlete doesn't always win. Someone else wins the award. But that's so lost on here. It's like she gets nominated for this award or gets told that she's going to win this award, and everybody automatically thinks that anyone else that was even in consideration for the award is nothing, is a piece of shit, and that's not the case. That's just not the case. Caitlyn Jenner will receive the award. It's not taking anything away from anyone else that was considered for that award. They're still heroes. They're still courageous. They still should be looked up to. It just so happens that Caitlyn Jenner is going to be the recipient this year. And if you honestly think that there's no good reason that she should receive the award in the first place, are you fucking out of your mind? Are you so disconnected from the world around you that you honestly and truly believe that? Do you understand the struggles that transgenders have gone through not only this year, but for the previous 25, 30, 40 plus years? Think of all the discrimination that the homosexuals have gone through since as far back as you can remember. Transgenders may have gone through even more than the homosexual community. And for what? Because inside they feel like they identify as a different sex? What the fuck is so wrong about that to you people that don't get it? Like, how do you not get that? Just because someone doesn't fit your ideal of what a man or a woman should be, they're automatically a piece of shit, and you're going to cut them down? I don't have exact numbers, but do you know what the suicide rate is for transgenders? It's fucking through the roof because of people like you. Because of people like you that look down at other people because they think or look or act differently than you. I live by the motto of, if you're not hurting yourself and you're not hurting anyone else, fucking do whatever you want. And in the end, if Caitlyn Jenner's happy, that's all that should fucking matter. If it makes you angry or you pissed off, fuck you. This isn't about you, you selfish fucks. I cheer this award for Caitlyn Jenner like you would not believe. And people say that ESPN's exploiting the issue because they're giving her this award so soon after her transition. No. Kudos to you, ESPN. Do you know what kind of global influence a fucking channel, a network, a brand such as ESPN has? And for them to take a risk and go out on a limb and present this award to such a controversial or polarizing, or however you want to look at it, person such as Caitlyn Jenner, that's props to them because they're putting more eyes on the issue. There are people that might not have any concept or understanding of transgender people in this world. And just by Caitlyn Jenner receiving this award from ESPN, this is going to open up discussion for those type of people. Now it's up to them which way they want to go from here. If they want to look at Caitlyn Jenner as a fucking freak of nature and she's a piece of shit and she doesn't deserve anything, she doesn't deserve to live, that's one way of thinking. That person's fucking crazy. And then you have another person that's willing to look at this with an open mind and look at someone who's been struggling with their identity for 25 plus years and is finally, after all that time, able to be themselves and not have to live with that inner pain of putting on a facade every single day to fit what society sees as what they should or should not be. So ESPN's doing the right thing here, putting more eyes on the situation at hand. And Facebook's the worst fucking place in the world, if you guys didn't know that. But I'm going to validate why. Right after it came out that she was going to get this award, all these fucking dumbass memes started coming up where it says, oh, Caitlyn Jenner's a hero. Oh, this is a real hero. And it's got a variety of different people on the other side. One was his name's Noah, and I can't think of his last name, but he's a former member of the armed forces who lost his arm and he lost his leg. And he was just on Dancing with the Stars and did a phenomenal job on that show. And he's a hero. Well, yeah, no fucking shit. No one's saying he's not a hero. No one's taking away anything that guy did for our country and the sacrifices he made. No one's saying that. He's an American soldier who gave almost the ultimate sacrifice, or as close to it as you can get, for our freedom. And I myself am forever grateful for his sacrifice to this country. But just because he doesn't get an award, you're thinking people don't think he's a fucking hero or did good? What's wrong with you? It's the same thing as if Caitlyn Jenner gets this award over a kid battling cancer. So all of a sudden we don't think the fucking kid battling cancer is hero or courageous? Get the fuck out of here. That's the way you think. That's your line of thinking. You people that are ridiculing someone like Caitlyn Jenner for getting this award. And think about that. Caitlyn Jenner is a former Olympic gold medalist. And that you can't ask for a better spokesperson for the transgender community as far as you know their stature in society or how well known they are, to get some more eyes on this situation, this topic, this you can't take away what Caitlyn Jenner has already done for the transgender community. And again, no one is saying that an American soldier is not a hero because they're not getting this award. And you always see these dumb things where these dumb memes on all over the place where it's like, oh, this is getting attention, but this soldier that died in Afghanistan isn't getting attention. You know, I'm going to go on a limb here, and I'm going to say that people that join the military to defend this country don't do so initially to become well known in the public eye. They do it because it's the right thing, and they honestly and truly want to help. They love this country, and they're willing to potentially give the ultimate sacrifice for the United States of America. Not so they potentially fucking get an award on an award show later on down the line. That's the furthest thing from their mind. But that's what you people are making it about. You're making it a big issue that if an American soldier who either died or lost some limbs doesn't receive an award like this, then we're all taking a shit on that person, which is as far from the truth as can be. So before you share these things, before you post these things, even before you make these things, just take 2 minutes to use some fucking common sense and really think about what you're doing and what you're looking at. We shouldn't be cutting down one person for being quote unquote brave or courageous at the expense of someone else. Here's a shocker. We can all be brave. All of us, in our own way, we can be brave. And if we're all helping, and if we're all doing good, maybe we should focus on the good. We should focus on showing the positives instead of tearing each other down. So the bottom line is, award or no award, Caitlyn Jenner is doing good things. Award or no award, Mr. Noah from Dancing with the Stars is doing good things. Award or no award, young girl battling cancer is doing good things. That's all that matters. So celebrate the good. Don't tear someone down while they're doing so. Sports. I like sports. Sports. All right, we are in the midst of the postseason here in both the NBA and the NHL. Last night, the Golden State Warriors took a 3-2 lead over LeBron James and his Cleveland Cavaliers in the NBA Finals. And game 6? Yeah, game 6 will be coming up here in Golden State in the next couple of days. I think it's tomorrow, actually, where the Warriors are going to look to put to bed Mr. LeBron James and company. And essentially, this series, and right off the bat, let's just get this out on the open. I was completely wrong. I called the Cavs in 5. That's definitely not going to happen now. And it looks like the Golden State Warriors are about to put this one to bed. But basically, man, this has just turned into LeBron James by himself versus the Golden State Warriors. And I really wanted to give LeBron James the benefit of the doubt. I really did think he was doing the right thing by coming back to Cleveland and wanting to help, his homegrown team, his hometown, win an NBA title. And I really thought he was doing it for the betterment of this, or not for the betterment, but for the city and for the team. And after last night's loss, a crushing defeat at the hands of the Golden State Warriors, LeBron James made it a point to explain to the media that he is the best player in the world. Oh, LeBron, you make me want to slap myself in the face for picking you guys in the first place and giving you the benefit of the doubt. I thought you changed. I really did think and thought that you changed a bit, but you're still a piece of trash as far as ego goes. Now, off the court, LeBron James does a lot of great things for his community. You can't take that away. And if you really think about it, the only bad, if you can consider it, bad thing that LeBron James has done was the whole decision fiasco a few years ago where he ended up going down to Miami, and the way he did it was just really douchey. He could have made the douchebag list from last week. But LeBron, he's a great member of the community, but man, this guy just cannot get over himself from a player standpoint. And it's coming back to bite him in the ass. And I will give him credit. The things that he's doing with this team, if you can even call it that, is unreal. The numbers he's putting up, he's really just taking over the entire Cleveland Cavaliers team in this in this finals, anyways. He's playing without Kevin Love. He's playing without Kyrie Irving now, and he's essentially just playing with some shitty old players from the Knicks. And believe me, that's no good. Being a Knicks fan, he's doesn't have really a great supporting cast, so he's got to take matters into his own hands, which I get. But you don't have to shove it up everyone's ass every time and explain how you're the greatest player in the world. Well, you know what? The greatest player in the world doesn't look like he's going to beat the greatest team in the world right now. And the greatest team, what it looks like, is the Golden State Warriors. And Steph Curry and company are playing like a team and whooping that ass because they're playing like a team. No matter how good a player can be, if you don't play as a team, you ain't going to win. Perfect example is, this one, you have LeBron James, the best player in the world, and I'll give him that. He probably is the best player in the world. He really probably is. And him by himself, he's not beating the Golden State Warriors, that team. No way. You also, if you're also a bunch of great players, you have to play well together as a team. A few years back, if you remember the Lakers team, you had Shaquille O'Neal, Kobe Bryant, Gary Payton, Karl Malone, and there's one other one that escapes my mind right now. There was 5 of the greatest players in the history of the league, and it was like slam dunk. Everyone thought they were just going to breeze through the regular season, breeze through the playoffs and win the NBA Finals. And all of a sudden, they hit a roadblock by the name of the Detroit Pistons, led by Ben Wallace, Rasheed Wallace, and Rip Hamilton, and they got their asses swept in that Finals, and you never heard from them again. Not that ensemble. Great players individually, not necessarily a great team. And that's what's going on here. LeBron can only do so much by himself. He does not have a good enough supporting cast to match up against a great team such as the Golden State Warriors. So the Warriors look to wrap that up here in the next couple days. If it goes to 7 games, I wouldn't be surprised. But again, I know my pick was the Cavs in 5, but it looks like the Warriors are going to wrap this up real soon to bring a NBA title back to the Bay Area. On the other side of the coin, we have the NHL Final, which is going on, which the Chicago Blackhawks are looking to wrap up that series tonight, Game 6 in Chicago. Now, I called Hawks in 6. If they win tonight, I know what I'm talking about. But there's a lot of injuries on the Tampa side of things, but that's neither here nor there. I still expect Chicago to wrap it up tonight. And I haven't been watching much of the NHL Final, I haven't had a chance to be in front of a TV while the games were going on. But I follow what happens in the games and everything like that. And from all accounts, and just to go back to basketball, there's been a lot of good games in this NBA Finals, a lot of exciting games. But as far as the NHL Final goes, take those exciting NBA Final games, multiply it by 5. There's your NHL Final games each and every time. Each and every time. You're missing out if you're not watching the NHL Final or the NHL postseason for that matter. You're really missing out. Why would you do that to yourself? I'm telling you right now, the most exciting time, the most exciting thing to watch in professional sports is NHL postseason hockey. Now you're in the NHL Final, Game 6. It's not the only way it gets better than this is if it goes to a Game 7. So I highly suggest that you watch that game tonight. If you listen to this on Monday the 15th, go watch that game tonight. Watch and enjoy. Enjoy sports at its very best. So good luck to both teams tonight. But the Blackhawks, please close out so I look like I know what I'm talking about in regards to hockey. All right. Now, which brings us to our follow of the week. And this week's follow of the week is a page you can find on Facebook. You can also find on Instagram. And to be honest, I haven't done enough research, so I don't know if you can find it on Twitter. But my favorite places to see it are Twitter and Instagram. And it's a page called Humans of New York. You can find it on Instagram at Humans of New York, altogether one word. And if you just search Humans of New York in Facebook, you'll find it there. Basically, what this page is a photographer just goes on the streets of New York City and takes pictures of people, of humans that live in New York City, or not necessarily live, but for the most part, they usually live in New York City. He takes pictures of them just to capture their being, and each of these people gives him a story of their life, and he adds a little caption or a tag or a little story to each of these pictures. And so many of these stories are just awe-inspiring. They are just some unreal stories that these people are willing to share to what I imagine is an absolute stranger. Some of these stories are so deep. I can't imagine how someone would want to share these deep-rooted emotions, feelings, traumatizing events with someone with a camera. But I'm glad they do, because it shows you the good with the human race. It shows you the struggles that some people have gone through in their lives and what they've done to overcome. On the other hand, it definitely shows you the struggles that some of these people are currently going through. And in Humans of New York, that page has actually done quite a bit to give back to the community. They posted something, I want to say 4, 5, 6 months ago maybe, regarding a school in New York City that was losing a lot of funding, and they have all these, and I'm telling you this story loosely from what I remember. I could be quite a bit off, but the gist of it is they had all these excelling students, and they didn't have the money to provide them with the necessary summer programming that they need to keep them out of trouble. And just by the Humans of New York posting this picture and this story on social media, they were able to get a GoFundMe together, one that's actually worthwhile and does good for something good. And they raised enough money to run a summer program for like 5 or 6 more years, which is unreal. And that's what we should be using the social media stuff for. One of the aspects is to do good, man, and give back. And that's what Humans of New York is doing. And some people want to, cut down the page and be like, oh, it's so sappy, this and that. Well, you know what? Don't fucking look at the page then. This shows you the good in people. And that's why I'm suggesting it for this week's Follow of the Week. So definitely get out there and check it out. Again, it's called Humans of New York. But that is going to do it for us this week. Again, thank you guys for joining me. I really had a blast again. Before we go, guys, make sure that you are subscribing to the podcast on whatever platform it is that you're listening to. And do me a favor and please leave a review. Leaving a review really helps us out in more ways than you can imagine. Also, be sure to visit www.nothingtoprovepodcast.com for all the latest. Again, we're still working on some stuff on that website, but there's going to be much more to come over there. If you guys want to follow us on social media, you can follow us on Twitter at NTP Podcast or myself at Dom EL Bomb. Also, we are on Facebook. Just go ahead and search Nothing to Prove Podcast. You'll find us there. Again, I thank you guys for joining me today. We had a blast on this end. We'll be back next week for episode 4. You can count on that. So in the meantime, be good to each other and do good for each other. This is Dom, the Bomb Vitalli, saying later.